Welcome to back to the Community Based Adaptation Conference in Dhaka, Bangladesh. We have one of the co-organisers. We've got only a day and a half to go now. So Saleemul Huq from the International Institute for Environment and Development. I hope you can give us a little rundown on your impressions so far.
Certainly, I think we're doing quite well. We've got over 300 people here from all over the world, and that was a huge logistics challenge to get everybody registered and put up in hotels and driven in from the airport and flown into Dhaka, which is not always easy. But we managed that, and that's a huge achievement. We had the Prime Minister come and inaugurate it yesterday morning, which is another security challenge with the security people taking over the place and the Prime Minister being late, but she did come in the end and said some good words, and we were off to a good start. Since then, we've had some very interesting discussions, both in plenary and also in a set of parallel discussions, looking at water resources, agriculture, planning, and the new learning that we are developing in community-based adaptation since we met a year ago at the 4th conference. The theme of this conference is going to be scaling up, and both scaling up vertically in terms of decision-making from the local to the national to the global, as well as scaling up horizontally from the few hundreds that we have now to thousands and tens of thousands and potentially hundreds, if not millions, all over the world, the communities that are going to have to be capacitated to be able to deal with the impacts of climate change. I think we're making good progress. We still haven't nailed everything down, but we are moving towards building a consensus on what we're learning, what lessons we're learning out of it. This time, instead of sharing just a lot of experiences, we are drawing lessons out of those experiences in terms of what works and what doesn't work, and hopefully those will resonate and be able to be brought out and shared with others that haven't been at the conference.
And so no recommendations, but I understand a book will be produced bringing together the information and experience from this conference.
That's correct. It's the first time that we're attempting this. It's not so much a proceedings of the conference with all the papers, which is a traditional product, but a much more analytical, synthetic product, which will have a series of themes which will draw these lessons that we hope everybody has brought with them and bring them together in the form of a book which can be published by an academic publisher. The reason for aiming for a high-quality academic standard book is that in the academic literature, the hundreds, if not thousands, of activities that are going on at community level are seldom reflected. There's lots of case study and anecdotal information, but these aren't drawn into any kind of analytical framework and synthesized, and that's what we're going to try to do here. The particular reason of timing it now is that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change is preparing its 5th assessment report, which comes out in a couple of years' time, and they have 4 chapters on adaptation, one of which is asking for information on community-based adaptation. So we hope that this book will make a major contribution on that particular aspect for the 5th assessment of the IPCC.
Is that the most space they've given to adaptation?
No, they've given a lot of space to adaptation. There are 4 chapters on adaptation, but they tend to be mostly national and regional scale or sectoral scale. But they have recognized communities as the scale that they have an interest in. And so we do have if you like, a section of one of the chapters that we can speak to if we can produce the information in a format that the IPCC can use. The problem with the IPCC, and this is a problem for us who give them information, not from their point of view, is that they are very choosy about the information they use. It has to be in a credible, peer-reviewed scientific format. And just anecdotal case reports of projects that NGOs do just doesn't cut it. They are not sufficiently analytical or credible in scientific terms for the IPCC to cite them. And so that's the barrier we're trying to, or the hurdle we're trying to cross this time around, is to provide the information that we are learning, communities are learning, in a manner that the IPCC can actually use and accept.
Not easy. Oh, Pablo is going to begin one of his games again. One of the interesting highlights of this meeting has been Pablo's game playing. Okay, I should ask you quickly before the noise starts. The obvious conference question that outsiders always ask is it worthwhile having conferences? People get cynical of meetings. Why is it worthwhile? And also, perhaps you could just mention this gesture that you announced at the end of today's session about making a contribution. Some of the money is going towards a project.
Well, yes. I mean, bringing 300 people is expensive from all over the world. We have a big carbon footprint. And so this time, instead of offsetting through mitigation measures, we thought it appropriate to put our some funds into a community-based adaptation project in the northwest of Bangladesh with a drought-prone community done by an NGO called Caritas. So that's our form of offset, if you like. In terms of the value of bringing people together, this is extremely valuable. Face-to-face meetings cannot be replaced, even with technology now. And the best part of the meeting is not the formal presentations. It is people meeting in the corridors, in the tea breaks, in the lunch breaks, and there's a huge amount of networking that's been going on here since people have arrived. We've given space for that, we've encouraged that, and I think that is perhaps the most valuable part of bringing everybody together.
I should mention that something you announced, that everyone here, is a sort of rule of these regular meetings, that everyone should come and meet you personally at your office in the sitting down in the smoking area outside the lounge, which you can't possibly do any work with several hundred people coming to talk to you, can you?
It's not work. Even a few minutes exchange of business cards, finding out who they are, being able to communicate with them afterwards. They tell me what their interests are. I tell them what mine are very quickly. It does take 5 minutes to do that, and that's invaluable. I now know that person knows me. We can continue to communicate afterwards and much more effectively.
And any final thought on, have you picked up any sort of trends in adaptation thinking or attitudes or shifts, because you go to these meetings are regular and you are Mr. Adaptation in some ways? Have you picked up any new vibes?
Absolutely. I think this scaling up idea is new. Up to the last conference, the fourth one we had in Tanzania, we were still sharing lots of experiences. This time we asked people, don't just tell us what you did, tell us what you learned from that. That can be used by others in terms of scaling up. And people have by and large done that. And so I think we have an order of magnitude higher level of intellectual content in the presentations this time. Hopefully we'll be able to synthesize that into broader lessons and bring them out in a much more analytical product than we've ever attempted in the past.
Okay, thank you very much. Once again, anyone who watches these things regularly will know you're a regular speaker. So good luck for the last day and a half, and thanks very much for coming in again. And good luck meeting the remaining 200 people, or however many there are left to see.
Thank you. I look forward to that.